welcome to the podcast. Uh, oops. Yeah, welcome to the podcast with Andre as your moderator, Cedric, Sammy, and Christiana. Our today's topic is going to be about current day controversies within the entertainment industry, with our first segment being corporate greed. Starting off with Helldivers 2 ESN count rankings.
Yeah, over the last weekend, in the game Helldivers 2, which has been really popular lately, Sony, which is like, I wouldn't say developer, more like, kind of like the big corporate manager, has sent an announcement that players of Helldivers 2 will be required to link a PlayStation Network account in order to continue playing the game, and they were going to enforce this rule around like May 30, early June, and there was just a big backlash from the player base. You play the game, so like, do you know anything?
Yeah. So, the when Helldivers had to announce this, around May 5th, there was about 154,000 different about 154,000 different negative reviews on Steam, according to the steamdb.com, which tracks
the database, right?
the database for reviews. That was what was reported on May 5th. So the problem is Sony has a track record of a lack of security, and so when Sony did this, people were like, "Wait, this is the security thing is bogus because you can't. There is no security benefit to this. More importantly, people that bought this game, that are in a selection of about 170 countries, can no longer play the game because Sony basically doesn't recognize them and doesn't support their services inside that country.
And it was also removed off of Steam in those countries as well.
Exactly.
So for the players who bought the game before the PlayStation Network accounts are being forced and before it got kicked off of Steam, they're essentially screwed. Because according to Sony, by May 30, if you do not link your PlayStation Network account, you cannot play the game. You get no access. But for the players who are in countries where they can't link their PlayStation Network accounts because PlayStation Network is just blocked there, they're pretty much stuck with a useless game.
Yeah. This also brings me to the point. People, it's not safe to get a digital game anymore. Like getting real copies used to be what it was like back then, but now if you have a digital game copy, like it can be taken away from you at any point in time, like by the company. Like they have full rights over it. If you own the disc of a video game, like you have that game, and like you cannot have that taken away from you anymore. But yeah, this was actually stated by Ubisoft as well. Ubisoft said that you should basically just stated that you should be fine with this happening. If you they did this thing where if you logged on to their to Ubisoft's software, like if you didn't use it for like 2 months or something, they would permanently shut down your account.
Just 2 months?
It wasn't just 2 months.
I forget how long it was.
It was a long time, but it's not 2 months, but it was a much longer. But still, the fact that you have the possibility of having your account deleted just because you aren't playing their games and you lose out on that money is a scummy move.
Yeah, truly. And another thing stating PSN got hacked numerous times in the past, starting in 2011. A lot of people stated this in the negative reviews. They got hacked in 2011, 2014, 2017, and 2023 even. The first one was the biggest one, having 77 million accounts hacked for the PSN. And nobody was actually informed about this at all. Nobody on Twitter, no one anywhere, but until 3 weeks after the hack actually happened. The other ones were against the PlayStation Network as a whole. They were just getting their data leaked into, getting shit stolen by random hackers. The 2023 one was the most recent one being a hacker getting the data information and saying that they're gonna sell it to the public, because Sony didn't want to buy it back from them. So that's pretty scary to think about if they want to enforce the PSN stuff on there too, which is where all your data is being stored.
So yeah, because of these reasons, there was just a giant backlash over the weekend. Like you mentioned, 150,000 negative reviews. It was actually in like 2 days. If you look at Steam, like, if you have a way to look at the Steam reviews back then, before the backlash, recent reviews and overall reviews on Steam, both were overwhelmingly positive. But as soon as the backlash happened, recent reviews went slowly down to overwhelmingly negative in 2 days, and overall reviews are now just mixed.
I've seen the most recent reviews right now are getting mostly positive again. And
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
as
there's a
soon as-
lot more as well. There's like 500,000 reviews at this point.
Yeah, as soon as the backlash like ended, as soon as Sony
Yeah.
rescinded their idea of linking, like they were like, okay guys, we're not gonna do this anymore, don't worry. Everyone was like, okay guys, time to switch your reviews back to positive, because the community still loves the game. They're not hating on Helldivers, they're hating on
Yeah,
Sony.
they're hating on Sony, and
Yeah.
it sucks that Arrowhead was the game company. Arrowhead. It sucks that they like got this backlash because of Sony in general. Because like they were making light jokes about this. Like when they got this review bomb on the game, the CEO of Arrowhead did post a tweet stating how he's gonna he might make a cape that shows like a graph of
Like an
all
in-game
the
cosmetic.
yeah, in-game cosmetic of the graph going down. It would cost $1,000. It's a joke.
Yeah.
But he's saying that it would still be an in-game cosmetic for the negative reviews.
Yeah, even if
for
they were
free.
still joking, I think the developers are still like affected by it, because I think later on the same CEO said that they were working on Helldivers 2 for 8 years.
Yeah, that's a
And
really
so
long
to
time.
see like their game, the baby essentially, get completely review bombed,
Yeah.
probably hurt a lot.
And this also makes it like concerning for other video games that are released by Sony on Steam, like Ghost of Tsushima, which is being released May 16th. It states in it that it says PSN will be like needed, but it won't actually be there. I've read numerous articles of it saying that like it won't be activated anymore. That might be because of the Helldivers controversy. It's not 100% sure though. But that's pretty good that other Sony games are being affected by this now, and PSN hopefully will not be needed on PC at all.
And I guess very quickly, I'll touch up on one other recent controversy regarding corporate greed. Escape from Tarkov's PvE thing. Now imagine if it was like Blizzard when they did their Overwatch 2 thing, where they canceled their PvE and then brought it back for $20. Now imagine you are a Tarkov player, and you are deciding, or not, you aren't deciding, but the developers of this game released their own PvE mode, and they're charging $250.
Was $250?
$250.
But what was the original price? Do you know? Because they said that it was originally going to be a DLC for, I don't remember how much money. It was probably
Okay,
just
so
like-
so here's the thing. So, people originally bought a $100 something DLC with the promise of you'd be able to get every other DLC. It's like a season pass. Now, fast forward to probably 2 weeks ago by now, where Tarkov releases a $250 DLC, and now suddenly, the people that bought the previous one, the season pass, don't actually get the game. Instead, don't actually get this new DLC under the argument of, oh no, it's not DLC, it's like a whole new thing. When in reality, no, they're just being greedy. They want to extract $250 from these people.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know who develops Tarkov? Is it a big company or is it like an indie?
I think it's a small company because it's not.
So
it's
kind of
also
like
not on
Arrowhead
Steam.
with Helldivers?
Yeah, Arrowhead, but much worse. So they eventually kind of backed down a little. Originally, they were going to be like, oh, the people that ordered the season pass, they get 6 months. But now I think it's going to be a little better for those previous owners, but they have not backed down from the $250 price tag.
And yeah, so Blizzard is the main other company that happened to do something similar to this as well recently. It's the PvE mode, as you mentioned. It was supposed to cost no money at all. It was supposed to come out with the game
This was
Overwatch
for
2.
Overwatch 2.
It was supposed to come out for Overwatch 2 with the game, but it never actually happened. They actually stated that it was not going to happen ever, and then they reinstated again that they started working on it again, and then it costed $20 for a half-baked, crappy version of their PvE mode that they said was going to be the biggest part of the game.
Yeah, I was playing Overwatch 2 during that time. I didn't play Overwatch 1 because it cost money and I'm kind of cheap, so I didn't play Overwatch 1. But I did play Overwatch 2 when it was free, and I heard about this promise of a PvE. That was the whole point of Overwatch 2. And I was like really hyped for it because I really wanted to see it. So when I heard that it was like not happening, it was actually supposed to never happen, if I remember correctly, it like really bummed. And I think everyone in the community was just really disappointed.
Yeah, and that's to say, like, it's not just the greed part of that, it's also the companies like Blizzard also just suck, because I don't know if you heard back then, I forgot how long ago it was, probably a few years ago now, it was stated how Blizzard's like industry was really bad it was a horrible workspace for women. It was a lot of sexual harassment towards women inside the workspace. It's crazy, and that leads to other entertainment industries like Nickelodeon as well. Has is known to hire a lot of people that were convicted already of sexual acts. Like,
yeah, let me lead into our next segment.
Yeah.
Our next so now that we're done with segment 1, we are about to lead into segment 2, which is going to be about Dan Schneider.
Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider is originally a producer that was hired by Nickelodeon in the 90s. Nickelodeon was a very small company at the time, and they're in debt almost. They were losing money rapidly. When they hired Dan Schneider, it was actually very good for their company. He made shows like iCarly and Drake and Josh and stuff like that. But as years went on, like in 2013, it was actually found that Dan Schneider was very vocal about how he really enjoyed pictures of children's feet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think didn't they on Nickelodeon post a thing send a picture of your feet
it was
to a bunch of kids.
There was a tweet on for Sam and Cat, which is a spin-off of the famous iCarly show. It was a tweet in 2013, which I think is still up, by the way, stating how their audience should take write on the bottom of their feet and take a picture, and then use the hashtag Sam and Cat to show them the pictures, and they will retweet it, which is very concerning already at that point. And there's a lot of
it's just weird in itself, yeah.
Yeah, Dan Schneider. This was the main thing that he got infamous for, but it wasn't really held up until 2024. Like last month, there was a show called Quiet on the Set, which was recently just made, and that basically brings light to all of this controversy that did in fact happen in 2013. That it wasn't really that big until recently, which is why Dan Schneider is getting such big traction right now. That and Brian Peck is another person that worked at Nintendo as well. Not Nintendo, Nickelodeon. Worked at Nickelodeon as well. He was originally convicted of sexually.
Do you know what his role was?
I think he was originally a coach on Nickelodeon, and he was originally a coaching for I think Drake and Josh, and he was found sexually assaulting Drake Bell, right? And he got in prison for that for 16 months. But then what's crazy to me is that he got as soon as he got out of jail, he got hired at Disney right after.
That's crazy. That's literally for kids.
Yeah, they're both things are for kids, which is crazy. Because he was already convicted for sexually assaulting a minor, which is, it's just crazy how these industries just carry this many predators on them.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if you had like sexual assault in your forgot what's called, like your prison report or something.
Mhm.
Most people aren't gonna hire you. So
Mhm.
like the fact that Brian Peck was able to get hired for Disney is just crazy.
Yeah, I think he also got stated by 41. There was 41 messages asking for his sentence, for the 16-month sentence to be reduced. There's 41, not just like random messages from like people. It was like higher up people. I don't know their names, but there was pretty high instated people that were like basically asking for a lighter sentencing on him, even though he basically admitted that he did sexually harass Drake Bell, which is pretty insane. Which I'm pretty sure might be one of the reasons why he was able to be hired again at Disney.
And yeah, Dan Schneider, he was a little bit too close with all of the especially younger actresses that he was working with. I think I also heard that for Victorious, he even gave a lot of them alcohol and stuff while they were working. And just made them do a lot of things they were uncomfortable with.
Yeah, one of the actresses on I think it was iCarly, she recently spoke out on Twitter. She showed a video of her.
It was Sam, right, from iCarly? That's the actress.
Yes, it was Sam. I forgot her first name, but I believe her last name was Puckett.
Something like that. She spoke out because on set she just basically stated how toxic the set was, and how nobody would do anything about it. They actually got.
I remember. I think it was. I don't know if it was a year ago now, but I remember she wrote her autobiography, and she was talking about that section.
Yeah, I heard that they made everyone work way overtime hours, especially for the child labor laws.
Yeah, they actually got.
And
CPS.
that her mom had forced her to do a bunch of this work, and she fell behind in school, and other people who had more support because she didn't come from the best family, Ariana Grande, who played Kat, that if she had a day off to do singing or something, they would be fine with it and let her do that. But if Sam did that, she'd get a lot of trouble in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because she didn't have that she had no one to turn to that would defend her.
Yeah, they actually, I read that they got CPS called on them on the set, but everybody told them to just be quiet about it, and she in fact did, because she didn't have anybody else to turn to in the first place, which is very crazy as well. Very toxic environment.
I'm pretty sure there was only one person who really stood up for the child actors. I forgot what his role was. I know he was his role was the older brother of.
Oh yeah, it was Spencer.
Yeah, it was Spencer. Yeah, I forgot his actual name, but I remember it was Spencer. He was the only one who stood up for the cast of iCarly, for the child actors.
I kind of heard that character was somewhat of a stand-in for Dan Schneider himself, this older guy hanging out with a bunch of younger people and being the cool one and all of that, because I think Dan was kind of just lonely, kind of saw himself still as a kid, and that this was all fine in his own head because he was just one of them,
And he was also very trusted because Nickelodeon had him there since the 90s, so these shows were just very trusting of him to be around these kids.
Yeah, I think he even did a show of them a long time ago. It was in a school, a bunch of delinquent kind of characters.
Dan Schneider has a history with acting in sitcoms, so he knew the formula very well, and that's how he succeeded so well with the sitcoms that he made. So
he made a lot of famous shows like Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious,
Henry Danger,
Sam and Cat. Oh, I forgot about Henry Danger.
Oh, well, I grew up on that one. Yeah, but it was, I don't know. Every time I look at Dan Schneider now, I'm just it's kind of shocking me. I recently rewatched Good Burger, and then you see him as the manager, and it's oh, I forgot you were in this movie. I didn't realize
in
you were
all of his movies.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Voices in a bunch of iCarly episodes.
Yeah,
it's
I didn't realize.
Watch those shows now because they're part of my childhood, but to know that there was essentially a predator being the actual producer, it's just having that in the back of your mind. It really affects how you watch the show now.
Yeah.
And having all these children actors like they were forced to wear all this types of makeup and stuff as well, and like they were forced to just overworking themselves. Like they didn't want to do all this like makeup stuff, but they were forced, and like that brings in a lot of problems with the beauty standards nowadays too. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So, our next segment for the now that we're done with Dan Schneider, for our last segment, our final segment will be on beauty standards within the entertainment industry. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, yeah, I've definitely seen like a lot of pressure put on people, especially like celebrities, and all of that, to get plastic surgery or to change how they look. Even like the body standards have like always been changing. And I feel like your body should not be a trend, you know? Like in the early 2000s, like what to look like was really skinny, and then in like the mid 2010s, it was having like big hips and like a larger bust.
What's it like now?
I feel like now it's starting to go back to like being skinny, especially with the rise of Ozempic.
K-pop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely K-pop.
Mhm.
Speaking of K-pop, I don't know much about beauty standards, but like I remember hearing on K-pop that a lot of like the idols would actually have to get plastic surgery,
Yeah.
like just everywhere. I remember here, like
I
there were
remember-
some idols who got their plastic surgery botched, and so they were forced to basically not smile, not talk, just be emotionless, just so that the people won't see them being like, the botched, you know.
Yeah, there's actually their plastic surgery for K-pop idols is a little different from how the Western countries usually do it. With like, they usually get like plastic surgery on the face and stuff here, but I don't know about K-pop idols doing all that. I only heard about they usually inject Botox into their like shoulders to get those 90-degree shoulders instead of like them being slanted down. They would rather it be like 90-degree shoulders. They would also put I heard some put Botox in their armpits to stop sweat from happening there. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Or they usually either use that or they use just like a chemical. I forgot what the chemical's called, but the chemical to stop sweat there for the suits.
I also remember hearing how a lot of just K-pop idols in general have their hair completely ruined
Yeah.
because of all the dye, all of
Yeah, they
I
dye,
know-
they dye it so frequently. Like they re-dye their hair like once every time they go on stage. They just like have a different hair color or just have re-dyed hair, which would damage the hair. But recently, I think they have been using more wigs, which does in fact help a lot with the hair. There's this one, don't know his name, but he was on a podcast, I think it was, stating how he had laser hair removal for his beard, which when he asked what it was going to do, he asked if his hair was going to grow back ever. They said, yeah, it'll be fine. It will grow back. But so far it's been, I don't know how many years, probably like 5 or something. Not a single strand of hair has grown back on his beard,
wow.
on his chin, which he wished he wanted his beard back, but it's not going to happen because they forced him to get laser.
Yeah, I remember seeing a clip on like Twitter or TikTok of this one K-pop idol. She was just messing with her hair, and then when she takes it out, just clumps of hair just falls off. Because it's just how much chemicals they have to put in the hair to make it look like really nice when they go on stage. It just ruins their hair.
Especially like a lot of people get lighter hair colors, like blonde, or I'd even say a lot of light pink. Especially if you have darker hair, and Asian hair is also normally like a lot thicker, and it takes a lot more bleach to get it to that lighter level. Yeah, bleach is one of the most damaging things you could do to your hair.
And they use a lot of it. There's also a lot of this is not like their idea either. The K-pop idols are not the ones in charge of their own like of how they look and how they dress and whatnot. It's usually always the company that's behind it that gets them all dressed up, and the stylist, and get them all like looking good for stage, which is kind of scary. It's kind of like abuse at that point. Like these idols are not able to look the way they want because they need to stage perform for beauty standards.
They also have like very strict standards on their weight. It's like a lot of these idols are constantly dieting.
I don't know much about the diet. Can you
Like
tell me a little bit?
I've even like seen and heard about a lot of idols passing out while practicing dancing and that. because of how much they're restricting their intake. Yeah, like also like as you see a lot of them on TikTok doing dances, it also creates more of like that beauty standard, especially for younger people on the app, since that a majority of their audience is young to older, like teenagers. Yeah, that just creates like a very harmful standard for people to try and like live up to, especially if you take into account like all the editing that even other influencers do, and like filters and face tuning and all of that.
Or like Photoshop too.
And that can create like a lot of unhealthy relationships with food, and possibly eating disorders. According to like the NIH, I think I heard that around 3/4 of people who get body dysmorphia, which is where like they feel like their view of their body is often like not how others view them. It's like a lot worse. Like, say if I had body dysmorphia and I looked in the mirror, I'd see someone like probably a lot bigger than someone else would see me. I would just around 3/4 of people who had that develop it before the age of 18.
Wow.
Like it's also a very depressing job to have. Like you get depressed pretty like easily because you have to fake being happy on stage for a giant audience of people every single day. It gets tiring. It gets like just being involved with that many people at once is very stressful and just very tiring. It's just not something that is a very good environment to be in at all.
Like even for men, like with like the gym bro kind of things and like bodybuilders, a lot of them think that like their muscles are like smaller than they actually are, and they'll like work out to the point of like obsession and unhealthy and actually damage their body. I think there was a guy called like the Hulk and another guy called the Russian Popeye who used like illegal drugs. I think it was a type of oil into their muscle to make their arms look bigger. I think one of them even died.
Like super buzzy. Like that's how they pop.
Yeah, it didn't look natural at all. It just looked like fluid, because that's what it was.
Yeah, you just have a big balloon on your arm. It looks really bad. I don't know why people do
This
it.
reminds me a lot of there's this one guy, I think his name was the Liver King or something like that. He
pretended it was all like natural.
He tried pretending that his muscles were all natural. They were all like really red and like really veiny, like looking about a pop. Like it's obviously steroids.
And that's all because he ate like liver.
Yeah, because
raw
eventually
liver
he admitted it.
raw bull balls.
But it's after being called out for it. Like, he got called out for using steroids, but he was originally promoting the use of like just eating like, raw liver and raw meats, which is like obviously not good for you. But like, yeah, he sold products and stuff that were similar to like eating like crappy food and stuff. It would not get you buff at all, and the truth was he was just always using steroids.
Yeah, I find it ironic because eating like cooked liver, not raw liver, like cooked liver, just cooked organs, it's actually really nutritious for you from what I've heard. My family like.
And I heard that
eats
there
the
can
liver
also
a lot.
be too many of like a particular vitamin in it. But
Yeah, like,
also
just don't eat too much. Obviously, just don't eat too much of anything. But I remember hearing that just eating like the liver itself is actually really nutritious for you. So like he had the right idea, but then he just went about it the wrong way.
He had to just start lying about it.
sleeping on a board of wood.
You have anything to say about like how like the facial makeup that they use for like K-pop idols and idols like that? What do you have to say about this?
I mean, I know that a lot of them undergo plastic surgery normally to get like a sharper jawline. They get like surgery or possibly Botox if they don't need a lot. A lot of them get a rhinoplasty to have a higher nose bridge, or get double eyelid surgery because that's also one of their beauty standards.
Yeah, they also get
Double eyelids?
Just like how how there's like it's common for a lot of people in Asia to have a monolid, which like where you don't have like the crease, like the fold.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That makes sense. They also do that. They use very pale makeup because they. I've heard that it's for a lot of the wealthy inside Asia. It's always known for the wealthy to stay inside and get pale, while the workers in like farmers and stuff go outside and like get tan and stuff. So it was known that the wealthier people were always tan, so which is why
Oh,
they
wow.
used
Yeah, I've
that.
heard that they have like whitening cream too, with like
Yeah.
like bleach and like
Yeah.
soap and.
I do know a lot about that, but we are running out of time.
Mhm.
But it's been an experience learning that type of Asian culture. I most seen a lot from a Vietnamese angle,
Mm.
where it is exactly how you described it, where being tan means you're probably poor, being whiter is probably, or not probably, but means you're wealthier and you can afford to just stay inside.
Yeah.
But that is going to have to end our segment for beauty standards. As a review, we talked about corporate greed regarding companies like Sony and developers of Tarkov, Overwatch, and Helldivers. We talked about Dan Schneider and his influence on Nickelodeon and what he has done. And we have talked about beauty standards within the entertainment industry, mostly regarding K-pop and Korean entertainment. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be it though for the podcast, and I'm glad we could all have this conversation.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.